do that.
I paid you a lot to do that, so
Yeah, I know. So tonight, I'm just gonna go straight to it. Karen Fettes, one of my favorite all-time humans. The reason Kendra and I know each other, and have met in person. And she is also a completely badass Sensi consultant, across the board. She's real good, and she's been around a long time and been through all the ups and downs. Um, but how many did you I told him it was like a million. But you recruited a lot of people last year.
I recruited 100 people in
Yes. I
2023.
said
But
I said it was over 100.
yeah, from February. Can I go close my door really quick?
Yeah.
It'll be nice. You guys will see that, but on TV, on screen that I talked about.
Look at her disappearing. She's a waif.
Um, okay. I recruited 104 from February 2022 to February 2023 to February 2024. I recruited 114. So
Insane. Insane in the membrane. And so
you want
obviously, because Karen's so amazing, when we were talking about going back to basics and we brought up the subject of recruiting, and Karen is the first person that popped in my head because I just want to be her when I grow up. So I'm just gonna let Karen talk. I'm gonna spotlight her and let her go. Do do do.
do, do, do. I just love the spotlight. Hello, hello. Okay, so let's chat recruiting, shall we? I'm gonna be really raw, real vulnerable with you tonight. I'm gonna ask you to do the same. So, um, if you are being honest with me, tell me how many sponsoring conversations you've had in the past 2 months. Tell me in the chat. Hold on, I gotta find the chat. I can't not find the chat. There's the chat. All right, I really want to know how many sponsoring
Like
conversations.
mine's
It's
under
okay.
more. Did you find it?
What? I found it.
Okay.
I found it. I really want to know how many sponsoring conversations you had, and with no judgment. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, those are better numbers than I thought they'd be. I'll be honest. Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, that's actually better than it's better than I did in 2022, people. So let's talk about that for a minute. I do think that sponsoring, I'm going to use the word sponsoring recruiting, like as the same. So you might hear me flip between them. So in my brain, I'm using the same way though. I think that sponsoring recruiting is the number one most important skill set for building a business that helps you have long-term success in this industry. Like if you want to build a legacy business, if you want to, and I don't mean like you want to make $1 billion. Like if you want to build a business that is helpful to you and your family, I think recruiting is the number one most important skill set. And I think it's the most important skill set to teach someone brand new too. And I think it's the one thing we don't teach someone brand new. So, and why do I think that? Well, quite honestly, because there's a limit to how much you can sell. I mean, even if you are like an amazing seller, right? Like, even if you have like, even if you did a party a day, or even if if you had this crazy YouTube like even if you were like Lisa Robert, you had this crazy YouTube following, right? Or you had a million Sensi clubbers, you still are at some point as one human cap out on how much you can earn. And when you build a downline, there's really no limit to what you can do. So I really do think it's the number one important skill set that you can have. So if you want, and everyone doesn't just join for money, so or want that. So like if you want to earn team incentives, if you want to earn, if you want to earn our trips, usually there's some sponsoring component. If you want to help others, if you want to build community, you have to sponsor. So before we dig in any further, let's just pretend I dropped the income disclosure statement here because results might not be typical, but I believe you can do anything you want with hard work, determination, grit, consistency, and the right mindset. So, so some of you obviously know me, some of you don't. Just a couple things about me. I've been a consultant since 2008, and I promoted really quickly. And I was pretty good at recruiting. Like, let me just pat myself on the back. I was pretty good at recruiting up front. I've been married. Steve and I've been married 29 and a half years. It's a really long time, you guys. He's retired. He's combat injured. He's worked Sensi full-time with me since 2012. I've lived a bunch of places. We've moved cross-country 5 times due to military obligations and medical needs over the years. And so I've had to start out a lot of times finding a new customer base. Things you probably don't care about, but I love plants, coffee. I love watching Dawn make her coffee. I'm really glad she has a new coffee pot. It was stressing me out a little bit. I love tacos. I mean, Torchies, duh. I love cozy blankets, books, travel, all the things. And this business has honestly, this is why I inserted the income disclosure statement. This business has given me time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And quite honestly, I think the time freedom and the location freedom is probably more important to me than the financial freedom. So, and I love my business, you guys. I legit love what I do. So let's talk about sponsoring. As I said, I'm going to be pretty real, raw, and vulnerable. I want to talk about mindset. I want to talk about a shift I had in February of last year and how it changed my business with sponsoring. So let me set the amazing stage for you. As I said, I was a really good recruiter when I started, and then I wasn't. Some years were really good, some years kind of sucky, some years above average, some years really horrible. And so, like probably most of you, my business has had ups and downs, and I think that's pretty normal. Thankfully, I had built an organization that even when my personal sponsoring wasn't great, my income never suffered. Now, long term, that would have shifted, but I built an organization and had enough. I was wide, not just deep. I was very wide as far as frontline, and so I never felt a financial pinch. Otherwise, I probably would have made some changes sooner. So let me just kind of set the stage for what my sponsoring looked like the last few years. So 2020, we're in the heart of pandemic, everyone's joining. And when I give these numbers, like they are not a reflection on you. So they're a reflection on me and what was normal for me. So for you, sponsoring one person might be an all-time high. And I applaud that, right? So please don't think that when I say these numbers that I am saying that if that's where you are, you're doing poorly. It just wasn't the norm for me. So in 2020, height of pandemic, everyone is joining direct selling companies. I sponsored 5 people. And for me, that was a low year. 2021, I kicked it up a little bit. I sponsored 11. 2022, I had a really bad personal year. We had death of a couple parents. I was pretty much never home, all the things. And I sponsored one person in 2022, like one person. So at this point, you're like, if Dawn hadn't already said what I did in 2023, you'd be like, Kendra, Dawn, like, really? Why would you ask her to talk about sponsoring? She just said she sponsored one person in 2022. Well, and like you guys, I even earned the incentive trip sponsoring one person because I had frontline that promoted. So that was really great. Otherwise, it probably would have kicked me in the tail a little sooner. But 2023, as Dawn said, was a really good year for me. So I had a mindset shift and I made some changes. And from February 2023 to February 2024, I sponsored 114 people. So I went from one person in 2022 to 100 in 2023. But from the time frame the 12 months that I had this mindset shift, which was February 2023, I sponsored 114 people to February of this year. So I want to tell you how I did it because, and I want to tell you what changed. So Kendra and Dawn know that I treat my business like a business, and twice a year, I have these crazy sheets that I go through that I rate my business in all these areas. I know this because, well, Dawn made them pretty and they've both seen them way too many times probably, right? So I have these sheets and they're like, oh, this is going well. This is not going well. Oh, like all of these things, right? And one of them is sponsoring on there. And I knew that my sponsoring had been like a thumbs down for a long time, but I just still wasn't doing anything about it. It was like it wasn't a priority to me. And February of last year, I thought something's got to shift. Something's got to change. Like, that's just not who I am. I'm a lead from the front kind of leader, and I got to get out of my own head. So I had to sit down. I thought it was a good reason for a vacation. Nobody else did, but I thought I should get away on my own for a while and just ponder this. But everyone else was like, you could do that from your office. So I decided I was going to figure out what was going on. And what I realized was recruiting wasn't a priority to me anymore. Like, I knew all the reasons I should recruit people. I knew all the reasons that when you didn't recruit people after recruiting people for a while, like your business would slide backwards. I knew all these things, but it still just wasn't a priority for me. I wasn't talking to about it. I wasn't meeting new people. If I was to rate the 5 most important things in my business, like even though recruiting should have been pretty high on my list, it was not even on the top 5 things. Like I would have been like, oh yeah, I should sell. Oh gosh, I should work with my team. Oh, I should follow up with my customers. Like I should probably make samples. Recruiting wasn't even on my list, even though I knew it should be. So I knew I had to change it. So here's what I'll tell you. No matter where you are right now in your business, like you have the choice to change it. It doesn't matter what's going on today. What matters is what you choose to do tomorrow. So it doesn't matter what's behind you. Don't look in the rearview mirror. Like, remember, we had an SFR speaker years ago, and she was like in the canoe or the boat or whatever. And like she kept turning around to see how close the other people were. And the guy yelled at her and was like, turn around, winning's that way. So like stop looking behind you, make a decision what you're going to do and look forward. So I decided I have to shift my mindset. So I tell my kids all the time, they hate it. Like they legit hate it. I always say, you can't get upset about the results you don't get for the work you don't do. So you can't get upset about the results you don't get for the work you don't do. And the thing is, I wasn't putting the work in. So I couldn't be upset that I wasn't recruiting anyone. So if I wanted to recruit someone, I needed to maybe have a conversation about it. So I changed, but I had to work on my mindset because I'd gotten really complacent, and I just wasn't talking about it. And so I went the hocus pocus route. Some of you are going to say it's hocus pocus. I know. I changed my mindset first and foremost, and I did that up front with affirmations. Now I know some of you think affirmations are hocus pocus, but I'm gonna tell you what, they legit work. Because here's the thing, what you say in your brain and what you say out loud, like the way you say these things really matters. Like your brain internalizes them, and it really it makes such a huge difference. I can't even tell you. So I started literally talking to myself with positive affirmations. So in the morning, I would like, Mel Robbins, high five myself in the mirror, and I would tell myself, like, people want to join Sensi under you. You're a rock star sponsor. And yeah, I felt pretty stupid the first couple times I did it because I knew that I was not a rock star sponsor, but I was going to be, so I was going to talk about it. And I was like, people join Sensi every day. You're a rock star sponsor. People want to join under you. And the craziest thing happened, like my brain, you attract what you put out there, right? And so my brain started thinking that way. And people, I'm not telling you 100 people came to me because that's legit not the fact, right? But like literally, I had people message me about joining. I was like, this is a little crazy. This is hocus pocus, right? But the more I changed my mindset, the more I focused on it, the more comfortable I got. It's like a muscle. Recruiting's like a muscle, and you have to work that muscle, right? Like you don't run a marathon if you've never run before. You have to practice, right? And I really think sponsoring is similar. Like it's a muscle you have to build. And so many people say, wow, I didn't know how easy that would be, right? Because you hadn't done it before. But the more you do it, the easier it is. And you guys, talking to people is the same way. But I'm going to tell you something. If you are unhappy in your business, if you're unhappy in your life, even, you've got to get to the bottom of why you're unhappy. Because if you are not happy in your life and your business, no one will be attracted to you. Like you don't even have to tell people. Like if you are miserable, or if you're like if you lost your cookies last week, that the flash sale was postponed, and you'd send out a project broadcast or an email, or if you're frustrated that, like, I don't know, your favorite scent is gone. Like if you're legit frustrated, people literally, you got to fix that, because people will not be attracted to you because you're putting out this stuff. You don't even have to tell them. Like they just know, and people are not, people will not come to you. So there's something called the belief triad, and I think it's really important. I think it's foundational. So I want you to get out a pen and paper, and you don't have to put it in the chat if you don't want to, but there's 3 things that I think you need to know about yourself. And there's no judgment with what the answers are to these things, but it gives you a foundation and it helps you figure out what you need to work on. So belief triad, 3 things. Number 1, belief in yourself. Just write down belief in yourself. And then the next thing is belief in our products. And then belief in our business. Now, when I say business, here's what I mean. I don't mean, do you think you're a good recruiter? Like, what I mean is, I don't mean, do you think you have the skills to be a good recruiter? What I mean is, do you think Scentsy is a viable business and a good choice for people to join? So I don't mean, are you good at this? I mean, do you think, like, do you actually believe that people should join our company? Not are you good at getting them to, but do you believe it? And then you've got these 3 things on your paper, and I want you to rate them 1 through 10. So 1 being the lowest, like 0 belief, and 10 being like you are jumping it up and like your belief is unbelievable. Belief in self, belief in our products, and belief in the business. And then here's the thing. If you are a 7 or below in any of those things, you know what you need to work on, right? A 7's maybe even okay, but if you're below a 7, you know what you need to work on for sure, right? If your belief in yourself is low, it's going to be hard for you to build a team, right? It's going to be hard for you to have belief you're going to have a successful business. If you don't believe in our products, like, you've got 2 choices. You need some education so that you're more confident in our products, or you need to figure out what you don't believe, like where the barrier is. Why don't you believe in our products? And if you don't believe Scentsy is a viable business option, it's going to be really hard for you to recruit people. And maybe you need to understand the comp plan more, or maybe you need to talk to your sponsor, your upline, your director, whoever, just to understand a little bit more about why it's a great business model. But that's a starting point. It gives you a threshold to figure out what you need to work on. Okay. Yeah. And it's okay if your self-belief is low, right? That's probably the one that most people have a low number for. That's okay. But now you know what you need to work on. There's no judgment to it, right? But you just know what you need to work on. All right. Okay. So how confident are you in each of those, right? What do you need to work on? Now you know. People partner with people they know, like, and trust. That's nothing new. I don't have to tell you that. But if you aren't sending out those confident vibes, and you should be authentic. I don't want someone to pretend they're confident if they're not, right? Like, I want you to be real and honest and authentic. But it is hard for people if you're not confident in the products, or like, why would someone join under you? If you're not confident it's a business, like, what are you going to say? Oh, I mean, I guess maybe you should join. I mean, I don't think it's a good choice, but I mean, sure, maybe you could, right? So, like, also, take a look at the message you're giving people on social media. I think that matters. You should be authentic and real. Everyone is not for you, right? Everyone is not your ideal follower, customer, that kind of thing. But if you're throwing out like nonstop, like if you're spewing negativity on social media, like, it's going to be really hard for you to build teams. So, all right. So I did a few other things too. I decided I would thrive and not survive. So my life was hard. I realized though, and when I say my life is hard, like, I had a lot of reasons why I could just survive. Luke, my youngest, had 17 brain surgeries from 2015 to 2022. Steve, my husband, had a major heart attack. We in 2021, we lost 3 of our 4 parents between January 2022 and May 2023. And then my mom spent 25 days in the hospital with multiple heart attacks, a stroke, and a whole bunch of other complications in January. We moved cross country. I mean, that seems like almost a normal thing for us. But there were a lot of reasons why my life was hard. But I decided that it couldn't be an excuse, because when I really thought back over most of my Scentsy journey, resilience is one of my strengths. Like, I thrive in that environment. Well, maybe thrive's not the right word, but I am resilient. And so when I was talking to myself in the mirror every morning, or just reminding myself, like up on my computer with a Post-it note, that I'm a rock star recruiter. People want to join under me. I had to add, I am resilient, because like I'd gotten in my head about some of the struggles. Um, I'd gotten in my head about some of the struggles we'd gone through, and I allowed them to be an excuse and not the reason why I had to. And so I had to change my mindset on that as well. Because the reality is, like, most of us have a hard life. Like, life is not easy for almost anyone. So it's in spite of or because of, right? Like, you have to decide. I also made sponsoring a priority because clearly I wasn't making it a priority. I'd stopped literally talking about it. So I had to go back and talk about it. Reality check. If you want to keep growing, or if you want to grow a legacy business, you have to keep sponsoring. I remember Mary Christensen standing up at Superstar Director Summit years ago. It was before Sensi hired her and fired her. And I shouldn't say fired her, before she left. But I remember Mary Christensen saying, the moment you, this is my interpretation, these are not her exact words, and I can't say it with her little cute New Zealand accent. The moment you stop, she said, like, the moment you stop sponsoring if you're a leader, the moment you stop sponsoring new recruitments, you start to watch the beginning of the decline of your business. And I was like, huh, okay. Because if you aren't bringing, like, there's natural attrition in our business. And if you aren't bringing new people in, you will lose faster than you're bringing in. So I decided to make sponsoring a priority. So I shifted my focus. I still want people to buy and host, of course, but I want them to join more. And so now when someone comes to me with an order, or when I'm having a conversation with someone, I throw out the join opportunity first. And I don't use the word join, but I'm gonna use it because it's what you guys are used to. So because if I ask them if they want to buy and they say no, they're not going to join. Or if I say, do you want to buy? And they say, yes. I say, oh, do you want to host? And they say no. They're probably likely not going to. They might, but they're likely not going to join. So now I start with join, because if they don't want to join, they still might want to host or buy. And also, I don't use the word host. I don't like the word host either. I don't like the word join. But where people get hung up with this, I think, is people attach emotion to the no. So you have to unplug from the emotion of someone saying no. Like, if they say no, it's okay. It has nothing to do with you. It's not a reflection of you. There's no knife in the gut if someone says no. It's about them. And that's okay. Like, your job, have the conversation in an authentic, real, not spammy, do you want to join way, but in a real, you've built a relationship and you think it would be a good fit for them way. And if they say no, okay, cool. No big deal. Like, I asked, moving on, right? I remember Sarah Speechley saying to me she sat next to me on a panel in Denver SFR like a bazillion years ago. It was on recruiting, and she used the McDonald's biggie size example. And she said, you go to McDonald's or your drive-through and you place your order, and they're taking your order and they say, do you want a biggie size that, or do you want to upsize that, right? So they're upselling you. And most people say no, but some people say yes. Like, if I go through that line and they say, do you want a large? Do you want to make that fry a large? I'm like, I mean, they're really good fries. Yeah, sure. Why not? Right. Or do you want to make that Diet Coke a large? Well, heck yes, I do. Of course. So, but if they hadn't asked me, I never would have said yes, because I ordered the number 3, which comes with a medium. But if I say no, the person taking my order at the drive-through does not run to the back and cry. They don't like throw off. They're like, I'm done. I quit. No, they just ask the next person because they are emotionally detached from the answer. So I started talking to people again. I made an active commitment to focus on sponsoring. Like, I decided I was going to recruit people. And that's something you might have to do, right? I have become a very comfortable COVID recluse. Like, seriously. I mean, I still am a little bit, but not like I was. Like, Instacart, I don't need to go anywhere for groceries. Amazon, I can't tell you how many Amazon orders I had during COVID. DoorDash, I mean, if I didn't want to make the food that Instacart dropped off, I could Grubhub, Uber Eats, or DoorDash my food. shipped. I could get my Target order right. Like I legit didn't have to leave the house or talk to people. And I was so darn good about it, like happy with that. That was great. But we're in a relationship business, and whether you do it in person or online, you have to meet people and build relationships. And if you don't, your business will not grow. That's just a reality. Now, when I say that, I don't mean in a spammy, slimy way. Like, I don't like walk through the grocery store wearing branded clothing saying, "Oh, do you want a sample? Oh, you're in the laundry aisle, right?" Like, absolutely not, right? Not with the intent and authentic, natural conversations, not with the upfront intent for people to join. I want to build a relationship and get to know people over time with my if they follow me on social, they will figure out what I do, or if I meet them in person, like they will figure out what I do and maybe they'll want to buy or join, right? Um, but as I said, like talking to people and recruiting is truly a muscle. You have to develop and condition it. And when you have not done that for a while, it's really hard to do it. It's about being authentically you. Like I can't give you a script for what to say because you and I, we're not the same person. But I can tell you this from a Sensi standpoint, I'm not like the pastor who tries to say, no, I am not. Absolutely not. But I will tell you this. From a recruiting standpoint, there's two things you have to your advantage. Number one is your story, who you are as a person, and your authentic experience with our company, right? Like who you are as a person, what your likes are, and what you are with Sensi, like why you do this. And then the other thing is like the fact that you have two ears and one mouth. And if you use those two ears and you listen to people, your listening skills combined with who you are authentically is like seriously the secret sauce. Because you don't want to necessarily recruit a clone of you, although, I mean, if you were successful, that might be great, right? But it's okay if you don't attract people who are polar opposites of you. Like there's plenty of people for people to choose from. So anyways, it's a numbers game. That's the reality of it, right? And I think years ago, it used to be like, you talk to 10 people, maybe one person would join, like authentically. Now I really think it's more like 15 or 20, because I feel like we've gotten in this post-COVID, this probably is not going to sound very nice. I'm going to say this because I think I fit this mold. Like, I think people have become lazier and non-committal. And so I think you have to have more conversations, right? Um, like, I just think you do. So, so talk to people naturally. So a few of people are like, where did you meet 100 people? Well, some of them were my customers, right? Some of them were hosts. Some of them were people that I asked if they could refer anyone to me. Like I don't close a party without a new recruit now, a new team member. Some of them are people I met in person. So my mom and I went to Cabo twice last year. And in August, we were hanging out in the pool. Because that's my mom is 75. And so this would be our day in Cabo. Wake up, go to the pool, stand in the saltwater pool, rest in the cabana, go back in the saltwater pool, go to the room, have sea bass room service on the balcony, and go to bed. Like we are party animals in Cabo, okay? But you know how like women talk to each other? I mean, they did before COVID, right? Like you would just be socially like, oh, hey, in the pool, having conversation. Well, I got to the point I didn't do that. Like I was going to either read a book in the pool, enjoy the quiet scenery, or be resting in the cabana reading my book. But I actually made conversation with people, like casual, not like spammy, stalky. There were like these four women who, over the course of 4 days, we just, struck up a conversation with. One was like on her honeymoon, like not like she was older, not like she was on her honeymoon because she was in her 20s or 30s. She was like in her probably 60s on her honeymoon. One of them lived actually really close to me. She was there with her two boys. One of them was an empty nester. Her daughter had just gone off to college. But we just made random conversation because we were at a JW Marriott. It was a nice hotel, and we all Marriott people, and we all like to travel. So, oh, this came up. Oh, where did you eat last night? Oh, where did you do? I mean, our part of where did you eat was never very exciting because it was, oh, we had sea bass on the balcony. But like, they're like, oh, have you gone to, floral, whatever. They would tell us where to go. So, and at one point my mom said, oh, you should tell them, because we were talking about travel, you should tell them about the trip you took to Fiji for, the incentive trip. And they're like, oh, you went to Fiji? Yeah, we stayed at the Marriott, has a conversation. Over the course of those 4 days, 5 days, those four women all decided they were going to join Sensi. None of them had ever heard of Sensi. None of them. And none of them wanted, well, one of them maybe wanted to do it for the money, but one's a VP of commercial banking for Wells Fargo. She doesn't want to do it for the money. One is an empty nester. She's an attorney. Her daughter had just gone off to college. She wanted something to do. One of them lives like 10, 20 minutes from me. She's a business owner. She, well, I mean, I wouldn't say she didn't want the money, and she wants something to do. She's divorced, so she wants something to do the weekends. Her ex-husband had the kids, but we sometimes assume people just want to join for the money. And like, none of these women, that was their primary focus. Kind of cool that they all joined at the same time. Kind of cool that they became accountability partners. It just really, I mean, just from a simple conversation, and none of them knew what Sensi was. My mom's like, oh, Karen's probably got catalogs and business cards. And I was like, actually, yeah, I got some in the room, but probably not four. So, realtor, my son bought a house in the fall, and you know how if you go to an open house, um, like Steve, my husband, and my oldest son, they were out in the back doing guy things, like looking at the air conditioning unit and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh, how does this look outside? Oh, how do the drains look? Whatever. And so I was just having small talk with a realtor who was, hosting the open house. And I had mentioned that it had been a really late night because it was just after a month end. And she said, oh, why were you up late? I was like, oh, it was month end for my business. We were up late. And she was like, what do you do? So normally I would have just said, oh, I'm a Sensi consultant, but, or I'm a top leader in an international fragrance company. But I actually said, because she was a realtor, oh, I help realtors curate gorgeous closing gifts. Who do you use for your closing gift? And so then we, started up a conversation, and she'd actually never heard of Sensi either. It's kind of a trend. My husband, Steve, went to get his haircut one day, and he came back and said, hey, the lady who cut my hair asked what I do, and she said like she couldn't find anyone to buy Sensi from. I'm like, clearly she doesn't know how to use a consultant locator. And so she's going to call you because she wants to join, right? Just because he had a conversation. When my mom was in the hospital in January for 25 very long days, where we thought multiple times she was going to literally die within hours, I had a wall fan diffuser in the room, and I had pods because hospital rooms don't smell great. Every single person that came into the room told us how good it smelled. Like, some people said, this is like my favorite room. I come in here all the time. So I have a hospitalist. So that's like a hospitalist is like a doctor who just makes rounds at the hospital. Like, they don't see patients outside. I had a nurse, a physical therapist, and two of the people who brought the meals, who are customers now. And I'm working on getting one of them to join. So just casual conversations. Like, I literally just stopped being a hermit and talking to people. And so I heard someone say the other day, it was, I don't know, someone from home office um, said, I hear people say, I don't want to be pushy. And she said, newsflash, you're not a pushy person if you're worried about being pushy, because pushy people don't worry about being pushy. So that's like, I hear that all the time. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to bother someone. If you're worried about that, like, that's not your problem, right? And quite honestly, the worst that happens is they say no. And again, they're not stabbing you with a knife, like, no, 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 right? It's just like, no, I don't think so. So I changed my verbiage. I don't ask people to join. And I know I've used the word join tonight on here, but I don't ask people to join. To me, you join a baseball team, you join a sorority, you join a bunco group. I don't first of all, I think join is kind of slimy. Like, I feel like it sets the wrong expectation. I feel like some people associate it with cult-like things, like, oh, come join us. Uh, so I say partner with Sensi. It's very much, it makes all the difference. Two big terms would be partner with Sensi or have you ever thought about doing what I do? They did a survey at home office, and those were two of the most popular things that top recruiters say. So I, you know, I've said partner for, well, for probably a year, and it makes all the difference. Also, can we stop using the word host? I don't like the word host either. I just, I don't, people don't love it, you guys. Okay, so as I said, remember, everyone doesn't join for the money. Some people join for community. Some people join to have something for themselves. Some people join because I've got someone who joined because she wanted to, she's really passionate about philanthropy, and she wants to use all of her commission to give back to an organization she's passionate about. And she just needed a way to earn some extra money to do that. And she's actually, yeah, I hate, yeah, join host part. I know, I don't like them either. She's actually recruited a couple of people who want to do the same thing. So just don't assume that people want to join for the money. And the people that do want to join for the money, like, don't assume that don't make an assumption of what life-changing money would be to them, because for a lot of people, it's 50 bucks or 100 or 250 bucks. Like, we set the bar way up here as to what people think they need to earn or want to earn, or what would be make this business look lucrative. And it's really not. I mean, sure. I mean, no one's going to be like, oh, no, I don't want to make that much. But the reality is, like, in this economy, 50 bucks or 250 bucks can be life-changing for someone. It can literally be the difference between putting gas in their car or not, or the increase in their grocery bill, right? So it's not that we just overthink it. I expanded my customer base. I needed new customers. I had moved to Colorado part-time. It kind of turned into full-time. I don't really know how that happened. So I had to think about well, I know how it happened because we really like it here. Like, legit, like, there's no humidity and it's really nice here. So I had to think about, what do I love? And being a military spouse or a retired military spouse, I had done this a few times before. So I kind of knew what to do. So here's a few things that I did. Now, will they authentically work for you? No, because you're not me, but use them to give you some ideas of what you could do. I needed ways to authentically meet people. As I said, not showing up wearing like my Scentsy gear, like, hey, oh, I just joined this group. Hey, hey, my name's Karen. I sell Scentsy. Want to join? No, absolutely not. Right? Just building authentic relationships over time. So, for example, I was in a sorority in college. There are 3 local chapters around me. And one of the chapters that's like 25 minutes from me needed someone to sit on the corporation board. So the housing board. And they needed like an alum to sit on it. Sure, that's a way to meet people, right? That's also a way to meet people, meet students whose mommy and daddies live in different states, right? So good opportunity to network. I love plants, like, love plants. There's some local plant shops by me. I got really comfortable hanging out in some plant shops. They have these fun workshops, right? Like, oh, I propagate like a crazy woman, but I mean, I'll go to a class to learn how to propagate. Sure, I might learn something new. I'm going to learn how to make the moss pole. I'm going to learn how to do all the things, right? Because there's a chance to meet and connect with like-minded people who have the same hobbies, interests, who might follow me on social media, who I might authentically really become friends with, et cetera, et cetera. You following me? I love coffee shops, like, love coffee shops. So we've got some local ones so I can go hang out there and work. I love to read. We have a Boss Babes book club. Okay, it's a virtual book club. Many of the speakers that we have are people we've had a keynote at Scentsy reunions. And so, like, they'll be like, oh, this week we're reading Atomic Habits. I'll be like, oh, James Clear, he's so great in person. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're reading Mel Robbins. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. Okay. So I've actually had people want to join, not for the money. I mean, they would not say no to the money, don't get me wrong, but they're like, your events sound really cool. You have some really cool speakers, and I'm in for that personal development. Like, I'll go to convention, sure, right? I want to be part of a company that invests back into their people. Steve is my husband, is a wounded warrior. So we got involved in some wounded warrior stuff locally, and I volunteered. So those are just some ways that I've gotten involved in my community. I have an expand your circle video, which is kind of old. I think I put it together for virtual SFR, like when I was speaking at one point. I'm happy to share it. It does kind of walk you through a process of figuring out, what your circle is or how to meet new people. Dawn also has a really fantastic buckets sheet, right? Which we can drop that helps you figure out maybe how to get involved in, kind of what your social buckets are, or what makes you you. So, now I do want to say when you're recruiting people, though, I want you to think about sometimes people get frustrated that the people that join don't want to do anything, right? They're like, oh, I recruited this person, but they don't want to do anything. So in that case, I'm going to ask you to think about what was the script you shared with them? Was it oh my gosh, you buy all the time and you should just earn off yourself? Because if that's what you're telling someone, then that's what you're getting, right? If it's like, you can't be upset that you told this person to join to earn off themselves, and that's what they're doing. And they're not building like a team. So consider, and there's nothing, I was a kidnapper. So there's a place for everyone in this business. But if you want to recruit people with a business mindset, you shouldn't tell them all you're going to recruit, you're going to earn your commission back on your personal sales, because there's got to be a little strategy there. So, okay. Kendra and Dawn both know I'm a social media dinosaur. My social following is not fantastic, but it is much better than it was previously based on a little consistency. So to me, and I've invested in a lot of social, I'm not implementing it all, but I've invested in a lot of social selling training. Really, it's about adding value. People don't want to be sold to all the time. People want to know what's in it for them. What can you do for them, basically? And so whether they follow you because you make your coffee every morning and it's fantastic, or they've watched your journey to get to where you were to having the baby that you tried for so many years to have, right? People are vested in what you have that they want or they're intrigued with. So people want to know you. They don't want to be sold to. So if you're treating your personal social media like an advertisement, it's not going to work. All right. So I joined some social media groups, like some Facebook groups, things that are authentic to me, travel groups, plant groups, all the things, right? I do actually get a lot of organic interest on social media, and I think it's because my social media was so pathetic to start with. I mean, it's not good now, but I think the algorithm was like, oh my gosh, you'd posted 3 times before, and now you like, so anyways, I'm here to tell you that like there is hope even if you are a social media dinosaur. The other thing that I think is really critical that I changed was I've always been really proud of what I do, and I've always been really proud of this industry, but I kind of struggled in how to articulate what I did. And so people would say to me like, oh, what do you do? And I'd be like, oh, I'm a Scentsy consultant. And then they'd get this deer in the headlight look like, what's Scentsy? And I'd be like, oh, it's like a direct selling company, like Pampered Chef or Tupperware. Now, maybe those aren't the best 2 examples now, because I think Tupperware is in Target, but, and then they would get the model idea of it, but it was still awkward and weird. And I love Pampered Chef. Like I got a whole kitchen worth of it. So I'm not like, dogging another direct selling company, because I think direct selling companies are fantastic. But I realized that that wasn't working for me. So I had to get more comfortable sharing. So a few things. For example, I'm a top leader in an international fragrance company, because that is authentically me. I am a top leader and we are an international fragrance company. I don't even sometimes spill. Not in the, oh, our company is a secret way, but I don't necessarily throw the word Scentsy in, because when I say that, they're like, oh, what company? Oh, tell me more, right? It's intriguing. It starts conversation. Or if I'm talking to realtors, brokers, whoever, lenders even, I will maybe say something, and I got this from Steffi. I help realtors curate beautiful closing gifts. That's what I do, because that's what I would do for them, right? I have a business within my business, and that's who I market to. Or I help, and these two are authentic to me. They wouldn't be probably to you guys. I help parents of chronically ill kids earn extra money through social selling because I'm a parent of a chronically ill child. And I've worked my business from hospitals and hotel rooms, and I can teach anyone to do that. Or being a military spouse, I retired. I help military spouses start businesses they can take with them wherever they move in the US, because that's something I've authentically done and taught others to do. Or if I have a group interested in fundraisers, oh, I help people. Let me figure out how to say this right, because I just stumbled on it. I help organizations earn money to, okay, I'm going to just butcher that. So we'll just script that one. But like, I do help, like fundraising is a huge part of my business. I don't know why it's not coming off my tongue the way it normally does, but it actually rolls pretty well because fundraisers are part of my business. So like I help organizations, raise extra funds through selling our products, or I help people build businesses where they can, charitably give back. So you basically have to figure out what your niche is or niche, whoever you are and how you want to say it. Like, who are you helping? So like, you can chat GPT it if you want. You can just organically think about it. It's up to you. The other thing that I just want to briefly mention is objections, because again, people freak out. They think someone's be stabbing them with a knife when they say no. Objections, like, we need to get over it. Like, objections aren't true objections. And I don't mean that in if someone has an objection, you can absolutely make them join, right? No, there's going to be some people that won't join. That's totally cool. That's fine. You don't want everyone to join. You don't want to ever push or pressure anyone into joining, because if you do, they're going to do legit nothing with the business. But often when someone has an objection, it is a fear of theirs surfacing. So if you can get to the bottom of what the issue is, like, it's a belief bridge, right? So no, I'm not interested for this reason. Okay. Like, it's a legit fear they have. Don't ever like gaff them off. Don't bulldoze through them and tell them all the reasons that fear isn't authentic. Don't roll your eyes at them. But usually it's an internal issue or a past negative experience they've had. And if you can share an example of how it's worked for you or someone it's worked for, or if you can just work through that objection with them and get to the bottom of why it's an objection, not in a pushy way, sometimes you can overcome it. So I think that sometimes we just bulldoze through objections, and like, we're like, oh, let me get out my guide. I've got an objections guide. I'm going to just spit this back at you and I'm going to argue with you because this is right for you. No, but they're real fears, and sometimes you can help them through it. So, okay. A couple things. You don't have to have all the answers for someone to join. Sometimes we get stuck on that. You don't want them to join if it's not right for them. I already said that. We have a really good corporate onboarding system, way better than when Dawn, Kendra, and I joined. This business is way more fun. Like, Sensi events, retreats, conventions, leadership, all the things are way more fun if you do it with a friend. Most of my besties are Sensi people now, and I love traveling and spending time with them. But how cool would it be if I was traveling with like my high school bestie or my college bestie or my childhood bestie, whatever the case may be. So I challenge you to shift your mindset, remind yourself, do the hocus pocus in front of the mirror, remind yourself people want to join under you, and just start talking to people. Like, if you're not talking to anyone online I'm not telling you to spam people. I mean, I'm talking about building authentic relationships. Like, just talk to humans. And if you aren't doing this, I'm going to challenge you just to start, even if it's one person this week and one person next week. Like, find some new friends, people, find some new friends. So, lastly, I think we get stuck and we tell people this business is easy. Oh, you should join. This business is easy. Or, oh, it sells itself. It's a smell that sells. No, this business is not easy, but it's worthwhile, right? You have to set the right expectation. The scent is amazing, but if it sold itself, we wouldn't need consultants. So it doesn't sell itself. So sometimes we have to set realistic expectations. So I believe in you. Dawn believes in you. Kendra believes in you. We know you can do it. So my question is, do you think you can do it? I mean, I'm really challenging you to step outside of your box, get uncomfortable, start talking to people again, be a human, If you want to do it behind your screen, do it behind your screen. Don't be that crazy person at Walmart, like talking to people in the laundry aisle or the candle aisle, right? Don't do that. But just start somewhere and meet people and go forward, because here's the thing. If you did that now, like where your business could be in 10 months is really remarkable. Really remarkable. And if you think people are not joining, if you think people are not taking advantage of this opportunity, you are so wrong. I had Sensational Start level 3 earners who joined in this group. Jen Audette has had 3 people hit director in the past, join and hit director in the past couple months. This last one joined and hit director in 7 days. Now, she did come from another company. She did not pull people from the company, but she had a massive social following. So she did an opportunity night in the consultant's brand new VIP group, and all these people joined. Whole training on Thursday night shift. It's pretty remarkable. So that's my challenge to you. Get out and talk to people. Don't be afraid to sponsor people. Stop saying join. Stop saying host. Stop saying all the things. And just get out there, because you're worth it and you deserve it.
Yay. Karen, you're the best.
You're welcome.
Felt like we were having a one-on-one there for a moment.
Okay.
You're speaking to my soul. Um, so does anybody have any questions for Karen while we have her?
Yeah, I really butchered that chair my fundraising. I don't know why that is not, it's still not rolling out of my tongue.
Like your brain's just like, I can't come up with the words right now.
It's like
Just me
something I say like multiple times a week too, and I'm like, huh. It's just like, it's like almost like an Alzheimer's moment or something. I'm like, I don't know what I was gonna say. But
No,
anyway,
women actually have this problem. They're like, it's with our like cycles. There's actually times of the month where we are more articulate than others
well, clearly
because of
tonight is not.
our cycle of hormones.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Weird things that I know. Now the internet's gonna know because I'm gonna share this.
Yep. Yep.